everybody, and welcome to my channel and welcome back. And I am continuing on with my Ecuagenera haul with telling you a little bit more about these species orchids. One that is not doing so well, the others seem to be fine so far. Yep. So let's just start off with this one over here. Actually, I'm going to start with this one over here because this one is the one that's not doing so well, even though that I will. No, wait a minute, I have the tags all mixed up. But this is Epidendrum musciferum. This is a species. Musciferum is from native to Panama and Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, Peru. It's a low elevation epiphytic orchid. Grows in hot, cool conditions. Is a cane epiphytic orchid, and cane epidendrum produces flowers from the same inflorescence over several years. They are not fragrant flowers. Plant likes mostly shade. Does have a seed pod, and I noticed overnight after I got it that the plant had started to rot from the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to separate that one cane from the other canes and pot it up and hope for the best. Okay, so for this one, like I said, I am going to attempt to separate this cane that may have nodes on it, hopefully. Yeah, it looks like there might be a node right in there, if I can focus in there, perhaps right in here. I feel something. But anyway, that's what I'm gonna do because it does look like this. The two canes next to it are rotting. Unfortunately, this one is as well. These, as I said, do rebloom off of previously bloomed sheaths. So I'm just gonna sit that there. Got my scissors, and I'm just going to spray with alcohol. And I'm just going to attempt to separate this and try to retain as much roots as I can without tearing the plant completely apart, because this one cane does need more than just the cane. It needs roots. So trying to figure out the direction of growth is really the first priority. And as I separate the plant like that, it does look like it perhaps is going in that direction. So, and I do see more canes here in between this one. So what I'm gonna do is tease this one away. Get some of these roots, and then that out of there. And I can see at the base of that cane, it is still green. So I am going to use this size pot, even though it may be too big, but that's the pot size that I'm going to use. What I'm going to do is I'm using a mixture of sphagnum moss and orchiata. And you can see that I am wrapping with the sphagnum. I'm going to set that in the pot. And what I do need is a stake for sure. And I've got my orchiata bark down here. This is the medium-sized bark. And I'm gonna fill that in here. Epidendrums, in my experience, like to never dry out, but they never want to be soggy either. So they do need some kind of a media alongside a more moisture retentive media so that it never dries out and that there's always a source of moisture there besides the humidity. And maybe I'll dress that a little bit more with some sphagnum, and then that's probably going to be it, and I will hope for the best. Really hope for the best. Okay, that is my Epidendrum musciferum. As I said, it had that seed pod on it, which I may have to get rid of because that will sap energy off of the plant generally. But I'm gonna set that aside for now. The next one that I have here, this is my Epidendrum Densiflorum. Now, you have a little bit of information on that. And if I can get to my epidendrums. Okay, Densiflorum right here. Closely related to Paniculatum, which is a fragrant cane reed stem epidendrum. Is considered part of that species. Occurs in Central America, grows on trees, stems up to 32 inches long, cane-like, have leaves all along their lengths. Leaves up to 6 inches, terminal inflorescence. Flowers occur during spring or autumn. And that's a picture of the flower. So when I look at this species, it looks like, to me, like the canes are arising from a rhizome that grows this way. You can see there's another growth here. So what I believe would be the best way to do this would be to plant it in a shallow but more widely spaced pot, kind of like this, and maybe somehow get this in here, like such, and anchor it in, and pray that there are more growths that come up along that. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to fill this in with a little bit of bark, perhaps to weigh some of it down, and that wants to come up. And I might just let it stay there for the time being. More bark. And then I'm going to top dress it with some sphagnum. Very loosely, and granted, when I wet this and water this, it will weigh this in more. And I know you think I'm crazy to leave that end out, but that's how I'm going to do it for the time being, because really I just want to get some roots growing for the roots that were in that part of the plant and get it more established, and then I can deal with it better. In this way, since it is in this kind of a clear pot, you can see there were the roots right there, I can keep my eye on it. And of course I will stake these later. And that is my Epidendrum Densiflorum. Now the next one that I have is my Gongora Histrionica. And Gongora is a species of orchid that is related to Stanhopea. We love our Stanhopeas, we love our Gongoras. Gongora Histrionica. Species is from Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia. Low altitude up to 2,500 feet. Deeply ridged pseudobulbs. Inflorescence is 15 inches, 16 inches, carries of 25 flowers. They are fragrant. Flowers from spring to the end of summer. Okay. I love Histrionica. Histrionica has a nice patterning on those dragon in flight like flowers. So let's just get to it. Again, this is probably too big of a pot for it, but no, maybe it's not. Gongora spikes like to either right above the media, the top, and then go down over the edge. Very rarely do they go down through the bottom of the pot like Stanhopias do. These older canes look like babies. They probably are not mature, so you can see the progress, the progression of the growths. It is definitely going in that direction in one growth. So I'm going to start with a little bit of bark, and again, I'm going to do a mixture of both. Start with some bark, put the plant in to as far back of the pot that I can to give it room to grow. And then I'm going to fill with bark, and I hope that you can see this. I'm filling with bark and sphagnum. And you can see that it's still above the edge of that pot. Fill it in with some more bark. Again, Gongoras do not like a rest period. They do like a slight rest period when their new pseudobulbs have finished growing, but pretty much they do not want to dry out all the way, not even in wintertime. And again, I'm just filling this in, and I will have to do a spike, not a spike, but a stake. And you can see this is a clear pot again. That's the roots there. And the top of the pseudobulb is on the top of the media. Okay, everybody, for this last one, which is rhodostictum. This is a species, Dendrobium. And Gingerovium, rhodostictum is one of my favorite, right there. This small, medium-sized epiphyte or terrestrial from New Guinea. Solomon Islands goes at moderate altitudes, mountain rainforests, steep limestone slopes, usually club-shaped, 10 inches long, up to 10 inches long. Slightly fragrant, it says fragrant, but they're slightly fragrant during winter. Lasts about 6 weeks, should not be allowed to dry out completely. It's very important. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on a cool log because I know that these appreciate more mountain-ish rainforest conditions than temperate and tropical rainforests. We like it a little bit more on the moderate intermediate side. So hence the cool log will give it a little bit of extra protection and keep it cooler in the winter. In the summer, I mean, I will keep this inside filled with water so that the ceramic will retain that coolness on the inside. So I'm just going to, I've already put some sphagnum on that coal log. So I'm just going to mount this one on here, and then when I get it mounted, I will add more sphagnum to it, but I'm gonna try to figure out which way is best, because this is possibly the direction of growth, but I'm not sure. It could be both ways. In fact, Laturias are possibly capable of blooming off of old growths. So I think that is going to be a nice look, and I will add a little bit of extra moss before I strap it on. Just filling in kind of some of the gaps to where the sphagnum ends and the plant begins, so that they kind of merge and the roots can go into the sphagnum that is on the coolog. And so I've got my string, and I'm just going to wrap it. And I'm just really wrapping it around the base, making sure that it gets right up there, the plant. And just continue doing that. Like such. And then I'm going to cut this end. And then I'll tie the knot. And I should be good. In. Really do need 4 hands, don't we? So I got that. Finish tying the knot. Alrighty, folks. And that looks great. So I'm gonna give this a nice soak. Give all of these a nice soak. I got my tag right here. I'll have to date it. Get over here with the other ones. And there we have it, folks. That is my Ecuagenera, more in-depth talking about each plant and also potting them up and mounting up the den rhodostictum. Thank you guys for watching. And enjoy your orchid.